My name is Viki Johnson, and it's not a company yet, but my soon-to-be company is called A Little Red Panda. I went to the College of Arts. I take it everyone here's at the university, being as we're in the university.
Yeah.
Yeah, apart from the awkward one at the back.
Yeah.
After I did a national diploma in art and design where I specialised in graphics, and then went on to do a BA in design for games at the college, which I initially did because I thought it looked fun, and then I ended up deciding I want to make a career out of it, so that worked out quite well. And I've just finished my MA in entrepreneurship for creative practices. The BA I graduated 2 years ago, and it was 3 years long, and I learned about 3D modelling, narrative, texturing and Flash. I remember going to a conference like 4 years ago where somebody said that Flash was on its way out, and everyone laughed up. And then I went on to do my MA, where I'm going to be graduating in 2 weeks. And I literally have just finished it like a month ago. And I learnt an awful lot about marketing, about building communities and tribes, and it greatly improved my confidence in talking about my own work. And it was kind of like business for artists in a way that it wasn't so much of the like information you get in a business MA, or is it a Masters of Business? It was more of the marketing and artistic side. So I'm developing a game called Princess to the Rescue, where you play as a princess whose kingdom has been put under an evil curse by an evil wizard. And she's got to go through different worlds and try and solve puzzles and help out the poor cursed people of her kingdom and basically save the day. As one of the only girls on my course, when I was doing my BA, I really wanted to make something that would stand out in the summer show amongst all of the games that kind of looked like Fable or Call of Duty. And I wanted to create a positive game for girls without ponies and makeup, which does seem to be a lot of the games aimed towards girls. And I wanted it to be an adventure game without any violence, and I wanted to make something really pretty and really beautiful because graphics and digital art is what I had a background in. I spent a lot of time looking at female characters in pop culture, and I spent an entire week watching all of the Disney princess films, and some of them are quite awful when you watch them as an adult. And I also drew inspiration from there's the Nintendo Land game Takamura's Castle, also Little Big Planet, and I really liked the way that we've got Charlie and Lola at the top, and then South Park. I really liked the way that they used like paper type textures instead of more traditional like 3D graphics. So this was the screenshots from the game that I originally handed in at the end of my 3rd year. I think I had from around Easter, I think I had like 6 weeks to do it, so I didn't really have a very long time to do it. And I learned how to use Construct 2 as well, which is a really great engine for artists who can't code. Because I didn't want to learn how to use Unity in 6 weeks. So yeah, I did all it was just a little level really, where you kind of go from one side to the other, jumping on things, saving these little pandas that have been cursed and gone green and they're poorly. And yeah, I did that in 6 weeks and I was quite pleased with that, and I ended up getting first, so yay! And then the game underwent several changes. At one point I decided to make everything a really horrible pastel pink, because why not? I thought like, why does the castle have to be grey? I'll make it pink. And that did not look nice. But this is what it looks like at the moment, and I'm really pleased with how it looks now. I think the aesthetic is one of the stronger points of it, which I'm not sure is a terribly good thing or not, but it's currently on a hiatus while I recover from all of the coursework that I've done over the past 2 years without having a break. And next month I'm going to start working on it again. and work on the level design, which is probably one of the weaker points of it. So I'm going to be working with other people because I've done everything on my own so far. And I'll just like share with you some important things that I've learned, because I take it most of you are quite close to the beginning of your degree. That's what I kind of assumed. You should look outside of video games for inspiration. There's a lot more out there than just video games to look at. At the Pocket Gamer Conference in Finland, Keith Stewart, who's from The Guardian, said that developers need to widen the field to stop the industry becoming too secular, meaning that you can't really just go out and say, I'm going to make a game like Call of Duty, because then there's lots of games like Call of Duty and that's a bit boring. And the AAAs can do it because they've already got their existing fan base. But as an indie designer, you want to look for more unique sources of inspiration. Like, games like Monument Valley and Thomas Was Alone are huge successes, and they've clearly drawn inspiration from something other than other games. Like, this is some of the inspirations for my game as it is at the moment. I've got like, I have got a couple of games in there, but I've also got like patterns. I've got like a creepy advert from years ago that was for schnapps, and illustrations and all kinds of different things. And I mean, it is still important to take inspiration from other games so that you can analyse them and see what they did well and what they did wrong to make your game really awesome. But it is important to look outside of video games. And also find a niche. For me, I saw that there are a lot of games where you can be a princess and you can do your hair and you can do your makeup and you can ride around on horses, and it's all very wonderful because in the 80s Mattel decided that that's what girls wanted, and that's what they've just made since then. And that's fine for the girls who want that. And then there are also games that you play as, obviously there's lots of games where you play as boys and you get to save the princess. And yeah, there are plenty of girls as well who are happy playing games like that. But I wanted to make something for the girls who want to go on adventure as girls. And there's probably a lot of girls out there who are quite threatened by all of the male packaging when they go into a shop like Game or HMV or whatever. So yeah, I wanted to make something for them. And even if, yeah, you can even just create your own niche and make something completely new. At the Develop conference this year, there was a talk all about making games for elderly people, because there's not very many out there. But they'll buy games if you make them for them. I mean, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? If my game flops, then I'll just have to keep working at my part-time job and I'll do something else. Like, because I've only got myself to worry about, I could do whatever I want. Which is the joy of being an indie developer, I guess, as opposed to being a AAA where they've got all these thousands of people who rely on the paychecks and rely on all the millions of pounds coming in. Also, don't hate on student projects. These are two projects that I worked on while the first one was doing my BA and the second one was on my MA. The first one, we had to create a little game about a little turtle for the aquarium. And it's basically this cute little story about a turtle that travels from America to England. And it taught me a lot about teamwork and the fun parts of working as a team. And also about writing GDDs and things like that. And then the second one, me and a group of students who were still on the BA, we worked on creating a Bronze Age village that was part of an exhibition in the museum. And that's going to be on their website now. And that's pretty awesome that we made this thing as students that now like thousands of people are going to see. They got loads of really good feedback because it was in the museum for 3 months. And loads of people really liked it, and that's really cool. And it gave me a chance to try managing a team as well as doing more 3D modelling and texturing, which is things I enjoy doing. However, on both projects you have people who treat it as if it's just a student project, but it's not. They're real clients, and you kind of need to treat it like that because it could be like an amazing opportunity. It could lead to amazing opportunities in the future. And also, you need to use social media. Where incredibly important. You should definitely follow me on Twitter. If you do nothing else, get a Twitter account and tweet about what you're doing. People do care. It's amazing how much people will retweet you or favourite you or like ask you questions about what you're doing. And there are various hashtags to take part in. I think all of them have got bots that retweet everything that's tagged with those, so then thousands of people are seeing your tweets. And it's also by making sure every week you partake in Screenshot Saturday or you partake in Indie Dev Hour, which I think is in about half an hour. It's like an hour on a Wednesday night.
Yeah, it starts at 7.
Yeah. So make sure you all do that today. It's just making you comment about your work twice a week, which is great. And you can also find out about great opportunities on Twitter. LinkedIn is also pretty important because it's kind of like having a virtual CV. You're quite welcome to add me on LinkedIn, but if you have a selfie taken of you in the toilets of Oceania, I will reject you and never talk to you again. But people do it and it's awful, so don't do that. You kind of need to have Facebook as well. It's amazing how many people don't have just a basic Facebook account where they can join groups and network with people and comment and share work. Even if you don't post about your cat or whatever every day, you need it just to network with people. Pinterest, probably, I don't know if any of you have Pinterest, it's predominantly used by middle-aged American women, but it's still one of the top social networking sites, and if nothing else, I use it as a pinboard just to collect all the images that inspire me for a project. And if as a byproduct of that somebody else sees me and then follows me on other stuff and that leads to something else, then that's great. Instagram, that's most popular with young people and it's great for quickly sharing images, and it's another one that has all of the hashtags on it. Reddit is surprisingly really, really good. You may laugh. Apart from the few boards where you'll just sink your whole life into it, the game dev and the indie dev I found particularly good. There's a couple of other boards as well, like I think there's one called like Play My Game, where you can post, obviously you post your game, and also like by going on Reddit I found out about volunteering at GDC, which was a really, really amazing thing to do. And also they have a Screenshot Saturday. I think it's on the game dev board, they have a Screenshot Saturday post where you post about what you're doing. So that's another place to just share your work that's not too much effort. Network, 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 network. It's very, very, very important. It's great that you all come along to this. It's the first step. Because I was at the college, we didn't really have anything like this. We all kind of kept to our individual years and didn't talk to anybody. And I didn't even start going to conferences until my second year, which I felt was too late already. But if you don't already, you need to come along to Devon Digital, which is an event that I help organise every month. We've almost been going for a whole year now, and we meet on the last Friday of every month, so we've got one coming up next week, where we'll be asking, or have already started asking, local developers to kind of stand up and say just a couple of things about them and what they do. But we've had people do talks, we had a pub quiz last year, we've had tournaments and more informal events as well, but it's just an opportunity again to come and network with people, and as long as you're over 18 and you can get into Roundabout, there's no excuse really for not going along. So yeah, follow us on Twitter, and we've also got a Facebook page. And also conferences. There's a lovely picture of me at Develop this year where we have these lovely big foam fingers to show people around with. Yeah, go to conferences. The big one in the UK is Develop. If you can't afford to go, volunteer. Me and Matt and Jack, we all volunteered this year. In fact, this was the 4th year that I volunteered there. So you get what is essentially, I think it's like £600-700 ticket for free. You get to go to all the parties, you get to network with people, and it's amazing. It's an awful lot of fun. And yeah, you really, really, really should do it. And because I did that, I had the confidence to apply to work at GDC, which is in San Francisco, and I went there last year, and that was just amazing. That ticket's £2 and I got in for free because I was working there. And that's pretty amazing. And I got to be one of the first people to go on the PlayStation Morpheus. Yeah, it's never too early to start making contacts. I started going, the first time I went to develop was at the end of my second year. And I already felt like I should have started going earlier than that. And even if you don't volunteer, you can get a free ticket to go to the expo, which means you can still meet some people and obviously go to the parties afterwards, and which is where a lot of networking takes place. It's not just drinking. And finally, don't take everyone's advice. I've just said all these things, but it might not be right for you. This is what's working out for me. Yeah, one of my friends stood up at Develop and did like a 5-10 minute rant about all the wonderful things he'd been told to do as a game developer, including learn Flash. And a lot of it's rubbish, really. So just, yeah, make your own mind up about things. And these are some books that I found really, really useful. The first one has lots of theoretical stuff about making a game, including some really good game design document templates at the end. The second one was only released this year, and it's amazing. We've got all these books in our library. I'm not sure if they're in your library. I'm sure you can request them if they're not. But yeah, the Indie Game Developer Handbook is kind of split into lots of sections and covers so many things to do with engines and financing and setting up a business and media and so many things. And yeah, it only came out this year, so it's all pretty relevant still. And it's even got an interview with Total Mockery in it. And the last one I found quite useful, which I kind of picked up on a whim, but it's got a lot of stuff about social media and marketing. Obviously, it's called online marketing. But yeah, I found that one very useful, but it is essentially for craft businesses, so you might not find it as useful. So thank you for listening to me. Does anyone have any questions?
How do you find showing games aimed at girls to predominantly male crowds? And how do you deal with that, I guess?
A lot of people have been like, oh my goodness, this is so cute. I've kind of always explained what it is and said this is aimed at young girls. So people obviously are not assuming that this game that is all cute and purple is going to be aimed at them, a 30, 40-year-old man. But I've never really worried that they're not going to be interested in it, really. I've kind of just been like, here, have a go. And then even the guy who made the game about punching bears thought it was really cute. It was really nerve-wracking. This year, myself and Jack, we both had the opportunity to pitch to people at a Pocket Gamer event at Develop, and I found that really, really nerve-wracking because they were like actual journalists and they were a bit quite severe in some of the criticism.
Especially the Amazon Fire guys, who were totally disinterested in everyone's game. Pretty much not to anyone.
So whilst both of you in the room, do you have any advice for pitching to
Oh yeah.
industry?
Sorry, Viki.
No, it's
I do.
fine, it's fine.
This was really cool for me. This was a sudden moment that I found. I was on the beach. We were all quite pissed up the night before. I had
This is going well.
this pebble beach in
There's
front
a
of me.
lovely picture, isn't there?
Yeah. So I'm quite drunk, so I'm waxing lyrical about what I'm going to say tomorrow at the Pocket Gamer thing. And I was like, oh, I've got like a script that I've written, and I'm really nervous about it. And I was saying it to some of the people around me, and they were like, well, I mean, why don't you just condense it down to one sentence? And I was like, oh, well, I've got this really good first sentence. That's kind of the only bit I can remember. And I would just do that. And so all I did when I pitched is I just walked up, put the game on the table with it running, and just said, this is Tap Tournament. It's a top-down multiplayer, single device, 2D tennis game set in medieval times. It was much slicker than that, obviously. And that was basically what I said. And then I was like, do you want to play? And that was all I did. And we came third. So yeah, it was pretty cool. So do that. Don't talk to people. Don't talk to people about your game. Also, don't take your drink. I had a pint with me, and we had to move between tables like 5 different times, and I very nearly totally killed my iPad with. So don't do that.
and have a button in it so you can quickly reset the game.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of worth researching the kind of games they're into before going and do the pitching, because I just kind of went with the game I was making when they seemed to be interested in very particular like puzzle party type games, didn't they?
Yeah, definitely.
So that's what you did.
Yeah, that's why we did so well. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh god, yeah. And then if you are a bit drunk, I'm kind of writing this off as because it was my first one that I've ever done. When you're accepting your thing, if you want a thing, don't get up and say tap tournament is fucking great. And then just walk off. So I did, and then I realised I was in front of other people who could remember the things that I said, and that was foolish. But yeah.
Or it could be really key because they might now remember you.
Yeah, and how fucking great tap tournament is.
The abusive guy.
Yes.
Did you find that doing a BA and a Masters in arts left any particular gaps in your skill set for developing the game that you couldn't easily bridge?
There are things that I can't do, but that's because I don't think I'm just terrible. I don't think I'm very good at level design.
Right.
But the only thing that I'm kind of unsure about really is all the business type, the actual finite things about setting up a business. I went and spoke to the lovely people in a building over there somewhere, but I can't remember what they're called.
Formation Zone.
No, not Formation,
No.
Working Links.
Oh.
They were really lovely, and they gave me like stuff about setting up a business plan, and
Right.
that was really, really
If
useful.
Ryan ever cuts that video together, watch the end bit where I talk about setting up a business. That's quite useful.
Yeah.
Really bad that it's on the video about me not playing
Yes.
cards.
Cut that bit out, right?
This video is now in 2 parts, so there's going to be a long trail of me not putting videos together.
Also, I would just like to mention, I think your level of design is really good and thoughtful.
Oh, thank you.
And personally, I think it's only the mechanics that need work.
There are little things that just kind of need sorting out, but I kind of feel if I was going to do this again, I would not have done the BA and then gone straight onto the MA, because I didn't have time to kind of breathe in between. And I spent the first year of my MA. Oh, this is getting recorded, isn't it? I spent the first year of my MA listening to
I can
people.
stop it.
Listening to people who didn't, because my MA was not video games. Like everyone on my course was doing completely different things. There was 2 people from fashion. There was someone from fine art. There's someone doing something else. I don't know. Fine art's a bit funny, isn't it?
Not a real subject, really.
Anyway.
Censor that, you know.
So my lecturers didn't know an awful lot about video games, and they'd had a new course leader come along on the design for games who was very different to the one that I had before. So I was getting advice from him, I was getting advice from my lecturers, and I spent too long listening to what everyone else thought I should be doing. People who are not going to play my game, and some people who don't even know what a game is. And then on my second year, like I started working on it, because I did the project with the museum, kind of took all of my summer last year, and almost up to December I was still recovering from it and having to finish off bits for it. So I kind of started working on this again in January, and I just stopped listening to people who I didn't think they knew what they were talking about. That's a probably awful thing to say, but I was using the classroom still in the college and talking to other people who were still doing their degree, who were using the same program as me, and we were kind of helping each other do cool stuff with Construct 2. And I found that was a lot more productive than listening to my lecturers.
How did you come up with the name, the logo, for instance? Why did you go that sort of
I
things?
can't remember. I was actually thinking about that as I went down the road, so I was like, I think I decided when I was about 11 that pandas were my favourite animal.
Okay.
I've got like loads and loads and loads of stuffed pandas and pandas on pictures and things at home. And I don't know how I decided to change that to a red panda. I think that was somewhere towards, it must be somewhere in my 3rd year of uni I decided to go for a red panda. And then I spent ages trying to draw one that looked cute and not weird.
So was it about standing out then?
Yeah, and And then I discovered that there's a company in Bristol called Red Panda who do audio for games, and then I was like, oh no.
There's a massive Flash game website called So Good Games. It doesn't matter. As long as we never get successful, it won't ever matter.
But the guy who owns the audio company is like, I've spoken to him and he's like fine about me being called a Red Panda as well. But yeah, that was sorry. That's just what I decided to go with. I can't really remember how I came up with it. But it did take me a very long time to kind of come up with that kind of style of panda, because at one point they just kind of looked like weird. Obviously it's a bit like a raccoon anyway, but they just have really weird faces, and it took a while to kind of get the face looking nice. Yes?
I think you've told me this already, but it'd be cool to tell everyone else. What's your process for creating the art assets for Princess to the Rescue?
The first ones, which were the origami ones, I made all of those out of paper and then scanned them into the computer, drew around them in Illustrator, and then put them into Photoshop to kind of make them look like folded paper. The ones in the more recent version, some of them, they're all slightly different because I've got some that are supposed to look like watercolours, but they kind of got taken out a bit because they were a bit too bland. But they're all got so many, all the images got like lots of layers on it. So you've got a layer that tends to be paper, a layer of pattern, which I created all of the patterns in it in Illustrator. And then I put the colour on the front and played around with the layers and everything to make it look pretty.
Working on your own, how do you manage sort of like scope creep and actually not getting completely lost in your own work?
I don't. Time management isn't one of my skills. It totally is though. It's something I'm getting better at, but I did decide that this year I was going to because basically the game is split up into worlds, kind of like how Mario, you've got a kingdom world, and you've got desert, and then you've got ice, and so on. So that's kind of how this was going to work. And I decided at the beginning of the year, I'm going to have all of the first world done, and then maybe even the second world done. I've done about half of the first world. But then that is due to like finding out cool things, and I'm like, oh, I've got to put this in, and oh, I found a really cool way of doing this, which I've really got to stop doing.
It's cool.
That's a part
Like-
of the scope.
Pardon?
I'd say that's part of what you were saying about the scope of actually
Yeah.
staying structured on and then not deviating to something else.
But I did start this 3 years ago now, so while I have done other projects alongside, and obviously I've done my master's degree and all the coursework associated with that, I kind of want to finish this soon, just so that it doesn't become too precious. So hopefully I will develop time management skills magically before Christmas, and then hopefully before develop or something next year I'll have it properly released. Because at the moment I've got it on itch.io for free, just to kind of get anyone playing it and get any opinions on it. There should be a link to that on my website. Should be. Yeah, I don't really manage my time terribly well, or the scope. So perhaps that's why I need to start working with other people, so they can be like, no, we've got to do this, we've got to stick to this, and then don't just kind of go off with the fairies.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have any questions?
I think the game's quite a great idea personally, but how do you deal with the people who are like polar opposite and just hate it because it's a game or something stupid like that?
What do you mean, like, because it's for girls, or just
Well,
because
no,
it's a
just
game
generally
altogether?
like the people who have a really obnoxious sort of pet opinions where they dislike it, and it doesn't seem to have a reason.
I've not really encountered anyone who dislikes it for no reason, and I think I'm incredibly lucky.
So you say yes or?
Because he's not a very nice person.
That is true. I was going to say, did you ever meet anyone on your course, on your fine arts course, possibly anybody who was lecturing, who thought that your medium was lesser?
I did have to convince one of the lecturers that I was not making a film.
Because he just refused to believe that you weren't making a film.
I think he didn't understand what a game was.
Oh.
And I'm sure it's fine that's getting recorded because he probably doesn't know what the internet is.
Or recording.
It's fine. Like, I'll just kind of like edit out the bits where I complain about.
That's my job.
It's never going to happen.
You'll never air, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But like, I've never really, I've encountered a couple of people who've said, like I think one of the years I went to develop, I met someone who was like, that's a stupid idea. You shouldn't do that. And I was like, cool. That's really, really constructive. Thank you for letting me know that. And I don't even know who this person was, so he couldn't have been that big, really. I think he was like a student doing an internship at the Chinese room. So like, yeah, I don't really care what I think. I did meet somebody who was like, who didn't like the fact that it was princessy and was so pink, but I kind of explained the reasoning for that. There are plenty of games where you're kind of, the female character's kind of defeminized, where it's a girl, or she's a girl, but she's kind of had all the femininity stripped away and wears like masculine clothes and displays like more typically masculine traits. And I think that's a bit awful. Like, the idea was that you can be a princess and you can be pretty and you can have all the pink flowers in the world and you can still be strong enough to save the day. And that's the main message of it, really.
Before I start clapping again.
Any more questions? Anyone ready to clap?
I'm not going to turn this way, someone's going to put their hand over. Okay, there we go.